to...
Boy, you know it's hot when you look at a forecast like I'm looking at for tomorrow, and it says it'll be like 88 or 89, and your attitude is, great, only 88 or 89, bring it on. Because today is another hot one in the mid-Atlantic or Northeast or both states. But I have an idea. Get inside at Parks Casino Shippensburg. Yeah, this is also great news if you live in Western Maryland, Northern Virginia, South Central PA. I'm looking at you, Hagerstown, Maryland, Winchester, Virginia, Chambersburg, PA, Martinsburg, West Virginia, and many more. Get inside, out of the heat, have some fun at Pennsylvania's newest casino, the all-new casino in Shippensburg, Parks Casino Shippensburg. It's less than an hour from Harrisburg, the state capital. 500 state-of-the-art slot machines, 48 live dealer electronic table games featuring blackjack, roulette, and more. And you can bet sports on the Bet Parks sportsbook kiosks that are located in the casino, and then stay and watch all the action. Comedy every Friday night. Live music every Saturday night. The Liberty Bar and Grill, that's an upscale family-friendly restaurant and sports bar featuring handcrafted cocktails, craft beer, and all your favorite comfort foods. So get in on all the action, get out of the heat, have some fun, relax at the all-new Parks Casino Shippensburg off Interstate 81. Visit Parks, P-A-R-X, casino.com. You got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for headlines from the Wednesday edition of the newsletter. There's a story from the Washington Post that I really like. It's a little bit interactive. The headline says, see how someone your age spent their money in 1972. By the way, and for the benefit of those who are watching on YouTube, I was going to go with the thumbnail. That's the advertisement for our conversations at this part of the program. I was going to go with a photograph that I found, TC, of my parents.
Yes.
There they are, in 1972.
Come on.
Because I was reading the story in the Washington Post, right? It's
love...
like, hey, how did somebody your age spend their dough in 72? And I went back into my electronic photo albums, and I'm like, yeah, there they are in 19... Your thoughts, by the way, 1972.
My thoughts are your mother is as gorgeous and glamorous as ever. She is a wonder. But what really dominates the picture...
Yeah, I know.
Your father's pants.
I know. What would you call those? Are they madras?
No, they're not.
What
madras
are they?
Because it's winter. Madras is a summer fabric. Madras is like a fabric. They are just pure on plaid. They are just fabulous.
Oh, my God.
Utterly fabulous.
Yeah. I can just see the front porch stare to my father's right.
Sure.
I remember the day when we poured the concrete for those
Really?
stairs.
That's so cool. Did you put your initials or a handprint or anything?
We did that on the back patio, and you know what we did? And I think it was also 1972. It may have been 71, but 4 members of our family, when the concrete was poured for the back patio, where we spent a lot of time, we put 4 pennies in the cement.
Oh, wow.
with that year's date on them.
That's so cool.
Yes. Perhaps I should explain. A penny is something of value, kind of a more modern day wampum, and we used to use pennies as a means of exchange when buying goods. So let me go. I want to go and try and talk through this in real time, because at the Washington Post, it's interactive. What you do is you enter your birth year, and then I'm just going to read things that pop on the screen. So I'm putting in 1962, and it says this. A household headed by someone your age spent 25% of their budget on housing. 50 years ago, they spent just 18% on housing. In 1972, 20% household spending was on food, 20%. Today, it's less, 14%. That kind of surprised me. So more on housing, less on food. Here's how a share of spending has changed across all categories. Healthcare has risen. Entertainment's the same. Clothing has gone down. Education, again, proportionately, is about the same. I know why clothing has gone down.
Why has clothing gone down?
I had that great visit just 2 weeks ago in the UK. Was there, with the whole Churchill, the jug, the Victory jug, Phillies. I told all those stories.
Your boondoggle.
But what I didn't tell you is despite the way that I'm attired today, which is in one of my, Lacoste shirts, I still like wearing a tie and I still like wearing a sport coat most days of the week. And there's a particular place, TC, on German Street, spelled with a J,
yes,
where I like to go and load up on ties.
Okay.
And I was really looking forward to that. I'm walking down German Street with my wife. Oh, here's the store. It's Hildrich and Key. I also like Turnbull and Asser. Turnbull and Asser had such a diminished stock of ties. I still bought two. And Hildrich and Key, I didn't buy any.
Why?
And, well, I said to them, like, where's the tie selection? And they said to me, and I was very nattily attired, and they said, nobody wears ties anymore.
Wow.
Like, nobody wears ties. You just can't find a good tie. And then I thought of, I'm doing a lot of name checks here, aren't I? I thought of Paul Stewart in New York,
right,
which has always been a favorite of mine in terms of men's clothing. Love Boyd's as well. Love my friend Frank Ventresca. I may as well name everybody.
Sure, why not?
But Paul Stewart, where Ravi has taken care of me, they literally cut the showroom in half.
Wow.
And it's just because this whole, work from home, casual dress thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that pendulum swings?
It's a great question. I don't think so. I think that the way that the next generation down thinks it's absurd that you would go to work 5 days a week.
Yep.
Also thinks that you should be able to wear whatever you want. Definitely sneakers, the sort of fashion sneakers, designer sneakers, athleisure wear, like all of that stuff, I think is here to stay.
The Washington Post analysis, again, their takeaway, I've gone out of now the analysis for a person my age, more generically. Restaurant food has made up remarkably steady shares of Americans' pocketbooks in the last 50 years, as has entertainment. Again, they're not saying that entertainment hasn't gone up in price, but they're saying proportionately what of your household budget goes to restaurant food or goes to entertainment, et cetera, et cetera. Spending on telephones, including cell phones, has been consistent since 1984, the first year with detailed data on phones. How can that be? What Americans buy within those categories has evolved. Cell phones, data plans have replaced landlines and expensive phone bills. Restaurant spending moved away from lunches toward dinners, especially after 2020. The biggest shift has been in housing. At its low in 1984, 19% of a household's budget went to housing. Today, that number is 27%. Final point I'll make is this: food has had a trajectory all its own since 1972. It has gone from 20% of household spending to 14% over the past half century, mostly in lower grocery bills. Much of that drop comes from higher efficiency farming. Farms in 2022 twice as productive as they were in the 1970s. I found it fascinating. I hope you'll find it of interest. It's in today's newsletter. TC, we also have a story from Detroit banning some businesses from locking doors with patrons inside. Tell us, why would they ever want to lock the door with a patron inside?
It's a great question. I had to really read this article because I did not understand the headline. Here's the lead. The Detroit City Council on Tuesday voted to amend a city ordinance to specify that business with bulletproof glass cannot lock patrons inside the establishment after 3 people were shot and 1 man died in a gas station incident last year. They voted 7-0 to have this be the ordinance. What happened was there was an active shooter and the gas station attendant locked the door to keep the shooter inside. The problem was there were other people in the gas station. So then he shot all of them. One of them died, and now they've made sure that they know this is not this is not okay. Now, it wasn't clear if the gas station attendant knew that the guy who was robbing the gas station had a gun in that incident, but they just want to make sure that people don't get locked inside with an active shooter. That's the
crazy story, right?
Crazy story.
3 a.m., mobile gas station, the 1200 block of West McNichols in Detroit. Clerk Al-Hassan Ayash locked the door to prevent Samuel McCrae from leaving. After McCrae's card was declined, he attempted shoplifting $3.80 of merchandise.
$3.80. Yeah.
Right. McCrae allegedly shot 3 people, including Kelly, inside the gas station. He's facing 4 charges, including first-degree murder. Crazy story. Tomorrow night, of course, is The debate, 8 p.m., a pre-debate mingle.
What is that going to look
YouTube.
like?
I don't know. To
Yeah?
be determined.
Okay.
It'll be nice. I mean, people can bring a drink, and I will bloviate and respond to questions, and we'll all kind of get psyched for the debate, which will take place at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So tomorrow in the newsletter, for newsletter subscribers, there will be a URL. You click on it. There's no fee. There's no nothing. Be wherever you want to be and mingle with me and listeners tomorrow at 8 p.m. preceding the debate. If you're not a newsletter subscriber, subscribe today. It costs you nothing. You get great content in the newsletter each and every day, including a story today in the Mingle theme about how chronic loneliness and the risk of incident stroke in middle and late adulthood are connected. Yeah. TC, your thoughts on this?
Oh, it's just terrible. I think we sort of not a couple days goes by without some sort of study saying that loneliness and the lack of connectivity to live other people is a negative. So whether it's a stroke, whether it's depression, whether it is, you name it, obviously people need human connection. We're wired that way. That is the way human beings are. So we are social creatures. I mean, think of it as literally like the basics of science. And I think, this is exactly what we talk about. And unfortunately, as I said, there's no shortage of stories and scientific studies saying that this is the case. And here's another one.
There are a number of stories in today's newsletter in particular that address that theme. And I just want to point out, and Alice has done a terrific job of pulling these together. On the website at Smerconish.com, if you click on Mingle Project, we have a special category of just Mingle news. Sometimes the things don't even make the newsletter, but I'll say to Alice, flag that and put it in Mingle News. And when you click through them in succession, they tell a remarkable story of what TC just said. More headlines now from the Wednesday edition of the newsletter. Actually, this is kind of in the follow-up impact segment. I told you the story yesterday. Swear to God, the way it happened is as I described. I was loving Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, Edmonton Oilers against the Florida Panthers in Florida. It all came down to Game 7. Edmonton had trailed 3-0. They were on the receiving end of that. Now they had the momentum. Final 5 minutes could not have been more exciting in the hockey game because Edmonton was knocking on the door. Ultimately, Florida held them off. They go to commercial break. And, by now I'm ready for bed. Okay, I'm in bed and I'm not even wearing my glasses and I'm watching TV and there's a commercial for Horizon, which is Kevin Costner's movie that at long last comes out on Friday. And I think I see my name on the screen while there's a voice of God talking about the movie. And I kind of laugh, and I'm not sure what I've seen, and I go to bed, and I'm thinking, like, nobody's going to see that. I mean, if I couldn't make out my name, nobody's going to make out my... And the next morning, the first text I receive is what my brother sent me in real time the night before, where he said, are you Siskel or Ebert? TC, we're showing now the screen grab for our YouTube audience. Quote, this is not just a movie, it is an event.
Do you want to hear it?
Do we have the audio?
Yeah, do you want to hear it?
Yeah, play it.
Okay,
play
it's
it.
only 15 seconds.
No,
and that's
play
the
it.
other reason. Like, it must have flown across the stage.
Flew across. Go ahead.
Okay.
This Friday, Kevin Costner invites you back to the West like you've never seen it before.
You ready, son?
I think so, Daddy.
This is not just a movie. It is an event. Horizon, an American saga.
This is not just a movie. This is an event.
They liked the line. They must have liked the line.
That is my quote, and it says Michael Smerconish, SiriusXM CNN. But I've heard from a handful of people unprompted who said, "Hey, I saw your name on the screen in the hockey game." Our friend Mike Baldini being one of them.
Come on, that is incredible.
So I have to just tell you how this went over in my house. Okay. In my house, one of our sons may or may not have said, "Dad, are you the best they've got?"
No.
Yeah.
Boy, they are tough.
I know.
They are hard on you.
I know.
What did they want? What were they
Well,
looking for?
the point was, and this is what was said to me. Like, couldn't they get somebody from Variety?
Oh, come
or
on.
The Hollywood Reporter? I mean, somebody who reviews movies. And I'm like, I don't know.
You review movies?
Yes, I do review movies. Thank you, TC.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. This is the question though, because it is getting mixed reviews.
Yes, you're being kind.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you really like it?
Did I? Yes, I really liked it.
Oh, okay.
I really liked it. Be forewarned. It's 3 hours long.
Okay.
Okay. You know, Oppenheimer, I think, was like 320.
It's an event.
I mean, The Irishman. Right. It's not a movie, TC.
Right.
It's an event.
Yeah.
The Irishman. Right. It's one of those epic films. It's beautifully filmed.
Yeah.
And if you're a Costner big Western, How the West Was Won, Yellowstone fan, then you're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it.
I'd like to
and
read.
Look, the guy, I respect it. He's got it all on the line. $38 million of his own dollars invested in it. He's already filmed not only part 1 but part 2. It's very unique. It's released Friday in theaters only. And, you know, it's the beginning of the summer. And then in August, you come back for part 2. And he's got part 3 and 4 in the works. So he's doing it as a labor of love. And he's put his money where his mouth is. And we'll see how.
I'd like to read a review from someone in the YouTube audience. OBG
Yes.
Foster says, this is not just a Smerconish live stream. It is an event.
It is an event. It is an event. Yes, it is an event. Poll results yesterday, 26,150. Should states bar gender-affirming care such as hormone treatments and gender transition surgeries for transgender patients under the age of 18? It was a barn burner. 51.7% said no, states should not do that. 48.3% said yes. The Supreme Court has taken up this challenge on gender-affirming care. That's why we were asking the question. You know, we're all kind of caught up in what the court is doing this week as they wrap up this term. Well, this is going to get argued somewhere close in time to the election. It is a challenge of a Tennessee law that bans gender-affirming care for transgender youth. Today's poll question, as we would say, a case of first impression, which means, hey, the court has never had to deal with this before, and you are the court of public opinion. We've never asked this question before. I love it. And you know, we've gone round and round as to how to word it, and here's the final wording. Should you have the right to cover your face in public spaces for any reason you choose? I don't mean when you go into a bank, because that's not a public space. But if you're out in the town square and you're protesting, for example, do you have a right to cover your face? I mean, here's a story from the LA Times today in the newsletter that brings it to the fore. And by the way, I was already asking this as the poll question. I didn't need the LA Times to prompt me, but it sure does crystallize what I'm talking about. A violent protest on Sunday at a synagogue prompted Mayor Karen Bass to say that Los Angeles should consider rules governing demonstrations and the wearing of masks by those protesting. Bass did not offer a specific proposal, but said that the city needs to look at the issue, including the idea of people wearing masks at protests and permits for demonstrations. A number of pro-Palestinian protesters had their faces covered on Sunday. Sunday got ugly. There was anti-Semitism, and it's something that brings this all to the front. So vote today on the poll question of the day. TC brought up a Mingle-related news story earlier, and I said that the newsletter today has a number of them. Here's another one. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg now making the case, TC, that New York City schools should be the next to ban mobile phones. I'll tell you who likes that headline, Jonathan Haidt.
Right. He certainly does. And this was because last week, the Los Angeles Unified School District took the step and voted to ban mobile phones use during school days. And so Michael Bloomberg is saying LA is doing it. New York City should do it as well. This is just completely disruptive. There's no reason to have them in schools. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Also, in the education category, headline, Oklahoma Supreme Court rules nation's first religious charter school is unconstitutional. The St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School in Oklahoma, set to open its doors next fall. The court ruled that a charter school, which is publicly funded, must be non-sectarian or not religiously affiliated. So that's the ruling from Oklahoma. Don't miss Rob Rogers' cartoon in today's daily newsletter. Of course, the subject is the debate. I got a note from Rob. He said, hey, it seems like everybody else is drawing about the debate. I'm drawing about the debate too. How would you describe that, TC?
I would say that Biden is saying that thankfully Trump's mic is muted, but however, Rob has Trump flying over the podium, jumping onto Biden, so perhaps he cannot get out of the way. How's that?
And when I look at that cartoon, I say the book is going to be great when we publish a book of all the editorial cartoons, because that is going to remind us, oh yeah, that's right, it was a big deal that they muted the microphones for the debate, something that hadn't been done previously. There's a lot more in the newsletter today. Please go register for the newsletter now. Be a subscriber. It's free and it's worthy, so that you can attend tomorrow's pre-debate mingle. You'll love it. Vote on the poll question of the day today. I've really not even scratched the surface of all that we're offering, and it looks so darn good. Have a great day. Thank you, TC. See you, everybody. Excellent.
Yeah, that was
Excellent.
particularly good.